what I want. I just want to lay on that right now, but I'm not going to do it. Okay, thank you. This doesn't turn as much as I want. So, many high school seniors receive a letter in the mail that validates all of the really hard work and dedication. I'm sure the parents in the audience have received this letter on behalf of their child. It validates their hard work in their high school experience. You know, things like, club president, star athlete, academic achiever, high academic achiever. And I'm not talking about a college acceptance letter, although that's positive news as well. And I'm not talking about, a full ride scholarship. I'm talking about a letter saying that you have been inducted into the who's who of high school graduating seniors. I received this letter, I got it, I signed my check for $100, I sent in my acceptance, I bought the book that said that I was in it. I was very excited about it. My parents were very proud. My family, if they had Facebook back then, we didn't, so they would have dialed up to AOL, waited for the busy tone to be done, and then sent an email about it. Except I soon thought about it, and I said, wow, that's a great accomplishment, except I'm not really a part of any clubs. And the only time I really run is if there's a sale at the Gap. And although I worked really hard at getting good grades and getting into the college and university of my choice, I wouldn't say that I was a really high academic achiever. But still, I was very proud of this accomplishment. And I received that letter again when I was graduating from college, and again as I was entering my education profession. And I soon wondered, as I was going into college, I said, did the admissions counselor look for their latest edition of the Who's Who and flip through all the people who self-selected themselves to be into the book and say, that's the person that I want in our next incoming class? Do major companies, when they're looking for their CEO, buy their book and say, yes, thank God he's in the Who's Who? No. The Who's Who is all about self-validation. But it's masked in this idea that someone other than you is validating your hard work and achievement. Now, I'm not saying that self-validation is a bad thing by far. In fact, the entire point of this conversation with you today, this dialogue, is that we should be self-validating ourselves more. What we shouldn't be doing is relying on someone else, someone external, the other, of saying that we're doing a good job. Often when we do validate ourselves, we do so in a way that focuses on small individual roles in our life. And it does so at the expense of our holistic self. So we say things about our specific self, like, I am a good parent, I am a good son, I am a good employee. And that's okay, we should be celebrating those things. But then we're identifying ourselves as a particular role that we have to fulfill. And it's so much easier when you're looking at yourself and saying, I want to be a good parent versus a good person, to look at the good parent over there and say, wow, look at the way they're raising their child. I'm going to do exactly what they do, and now I'm going to be a good parent too. Or, look how that supervisor acts. I'm going to use those behaviors and I'm going to become a good communicator by simply emulating what that person is doing. And we do so then, and we try to focus on these individual roles and remove the entire holistic self from our experience. When we do that, we're not living our own life, we're attempting to live their life. And that's when we feel most like an imposter in our own clothes. But I am not an imposter, and you are definitely not an imposter. When we remove language like fake it till you make it from your vocabulary and stop worrying about what is coming in the future, things that you have no control over, and stop feeling guilty about your past mistakes, that's when you're able to kind of just be. That's the language that I use, just be. Be present in your own life, be present in the decisions that you have right in front of you versus the decisions that you have 10 years down the road. And we can appreciate all that we have to offer. And one simple step that you can do to be present today is to remember your core values. Your core values are 3 little words that you can carry along with you regardless of the grades that you have, how many clubs you were a part of in high school, or how much money you make. These 3 little words are that I am lovable, important, and valuable. Okay? So you need to bring these core values into every single decision that you make because they influence how you look at the world. Now, this is the awkward part. I'm gonna ask you to turn to your neighbor, not yet, I'm going to ask you to turn to your neighbor. You're not going to tell them that they are lovable, important, and valuable because we do that every single day in our life. You're doing such a good job. Keep up the good work. I love you. And I'm not saying that it's bad to appreciate other people. What I'm saying is that you have to appreciate yourself first in order to validate someone else. So in a second, I'm going to ask you with a big smile on your face to turn to your neighbor and say, I am lovable, important, and valuable.
Lovable, important, and valuable.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, turn this way now. I heard someone say, I am not important, and that is not right. What we often do when we say things about ourselves, as I said, we say things about other people all the time. We say that we really love those people, they're doing a really good job. And when we talk about ourselves, we focus on our failures. We focus on the things that we didn't do right and the things that we can improve. And that's fine too, because I have a lot of improvement to do in my life, but in order to just be, I need to focus on my core values and the fact that I am lovable, important, and valuable. The core values impact everything that you do. And if you can, they become your belief system. Your belief system impacts the way you think about something, the way you feel, and the action steps you're going to take for it. If I believed that I am unworthy, I'm not lovable, I'm not important, then I'm going to treat myself as a second-class citizen in my own life. And that becomes my choice. And our belief systems are impacted by what some of the speakers have talked about before, by the experiences we have for 21, 25, 35 years, and we carry them with us. But it becomes your choice in how you look at something, and your core values can help you change that lens. Now, sometimes our belief systems are the results of good intentions. So I want you to close your eyes for a second, and you're going to raise your hand. I'm not going to raise your hand for you. I want you to raise your hand if somebody, as a child, said to you, don't talk unless spoken to. Thank you. Hands down, eyes still closed. Tell me if a lover once said to you, it's not you, it's me. But you know that really meant it was you in that moment. Or if a relationship that you were in, maybe an employee relationship, a friend, or a lover said to you, or that you stayed in that relationship longer than you should have because you felt bad about expressing your opinion. Thank you. That was the most. Hands down, eyes open. When we stop believing that we are lovable, important, and valuable, then our opinions become not valid. Our parents probably really wanted to just say, you know what, I want to talk to my friends, I need you to be quiet for a little bit. But ultimately, that meant that your opinion wasn't valid in this situation. Your decision to stay in a relationship was putting someone else's core values ahead of your own. And it's important to validate other people's core values, but it's more important first to make sure you realize that you are lovable, important, and valuable. These are things that you don't have to earn. You don't have to earn your core values by being a good person. This is something that you're entitled to, and it is your birthright. And if anyone could stand up here today and tell you that, I think you should earn your birthright, you need to be a good person, that could be me. Because you see, I walked through life for a little bit thinking I was unlovable, unimportant, and not valuable. I'm adopted, so at birth, the person who gave birth to me decided that they didn't want me. And they gave me to an anonymous person so that I could be placed in the family. And I could allow those core values to be completely cast aside and say, you know what, I was unwanted, so then I'm going to take that role in a relationship that I'm in. I could not, live up to the intentions that I have, the goals that I have, because I could feel second class in my own life. Or I could choose to think differently. I could choose to appreciate the woman who, with 4 other kids who were in their 20s and became pregnant again, definitely had some other choices that she could have made instead of spending time 2 months in a hospital since I was 2 months premature to have me, and then to seek out a social worker that could say, I'll find a good family for this person, this infant. The way I look at that situation is completely up to me. It's not up to you, it's not up to anyone else, it's up to me. Now, I was lucky enough to find, a few years ago, I started a search for my birth family, and I got a letter in the mail that explained that my birth mother had 4 other children, 3 of which had reached 20, another one which was 10, and she certainly didn't consider herself lucky to raise another infant into adulthood when she was already about 49. So, as I said, she had other choices that she could have made, and I feel appreciated, and I appreciate her for choosing to give birth to me. And she spent 2 months in the hospital alongside me, and still was able to place me into a situation that she knew I would feel lovable, important, and valuable, and by doing that, she validated my life as well. And I was able to find out that a few weeks into my stay at the hospital, my birth sisters came into that hospital and took my very first baby photo, which I learned about a month ago when I had the courage to meet them in person. So all how I look at that situation is up to me. It's not up to anyone else, and no one else can tell me how to view my adoptive situation. So, feeling lovable, important, and valuable without needing an external critic to tell you that you're doing a good job is the first step and the key step to living an authentic life. You can still focus on, you can use that core values as the lens in which you look at the world. And by doing that, you stop focusing on the past mistakes that you made, you stop feeling guilty about that because your time is too valuable, and you realize it's more important to focus on today and to just be present today than it is to worry about the future. So remember that you are lovable, important, and valuable, and I am lovable, important, and valuable, regardless of whether I'm in this year's edition of the Who's Who or not. Thank you.